The test.
To stand in defense of truth and righteousness when champions are few, this will be our test.
If I deliver my body to be burned for keeping the right day, but do not have love, it profits me nothing.
The Sabbath will be the greatest test of loyalty, for it is a point of truth especially controverted. When the final test shall be brought to bear upon men, then the line of distinction will be drawn between those who serve God and those who serve Him not. While the observance of the false Sabbath, or false experience, in compliance with the law of the state, contrary to the fourth commandment, will be an avowal of allegiance to a power or spirit that is in opposition to God. The keeping of the true Sabbath or true experience in obedience to God's law of love is an evidence of loyalty to the Creator.
God is spirit, and those who worship Him must worship in spirit and truth. If anyone does not have the Spirit of Christ, he does not belong to Him. For all who are being led by the Spirit of God, these are sons and daughters of God.
We see then the two parts of the test. There is the examination of the theoretical or faith experience, which pertains to the Spirit. Next, the practical aspect or living testimony is tested, revealing the adherence to truth. Faith without works is dead. In the final test, those who are lacking the Spirit will not stand in the truth. Those without spiritual eye salve will be deceived. Seventh-day Adventists, who are to be grades above the world, will not be given the same level of trial. To those who have much, much is required. The man who rejects opportunity will lose even what he has. His candlestick will be removed. Do you think, my brothers and sisters, that your test will be choosing between Saturday or Sunday? Or do you believe the Sunday law will be your test? If so, you will be deceived. Please be enlightened. I tell you now that you must have divine enlightenment. If you do not seek this, Satan will set up his hellish banner right in your homes, and you will be so blinded to the real nature of his deceptions that you will reverence it as the banner of Christ. When Abraham was tested, he had to make a tough decision. He was required to be willing to give up the most precious thing possible. It was in total contradiction to God's promise that he would be the father of a great multitude. The requirement made no logical sense from a human perspective, but because he was led of the Spirit, he prevailed in the truth. He knew the faithfulness of the Father and trusted in divine wisdom. Dear Seventh-day Adventist, your test has already come. The Son of God has been crucified afresh. What will you do? The contest is between the commandments of God and the commandments of men. Where will you stand?
The image. Remember the image that Nebuchadnezzar set up in the plain of Dura? This was a positive setting up of his own idea against that of God. This was to declare to all people that his golden kingdom was to endure forever, that there was to be no such thing as another kingdom, arising separate from his and inferior to it. No, there should be only his golden kingdom of Babylon, and it should never be broken or interrupted, and it would go through until the end.
When the state shall use its power to enforce the decrees and sustain the institution of the Church, then will Protestant America have formed an image to the papacy. The image to the beast represents that form of apostate Protestantism which will be developed when the Protestant churches shall seek the aid of the civil power for the enforcement of their dogmas. In the very act of enforcing a religious duty by secular power, the churches would themselves form an image to the beast.
The beast which had the wound by a sword and did live is the papacy. That was a church dominating the civil power, a union of church and state enforcing its religious dogmas by the civil power, by confiscation, imprisonment, and death. An image to this beast would be another ecclesiastical organization clothed with civil power, another union of church and state to enforce religion by law.
I need not undertake to give a definition in detail of what the image to the beast is. We all know well that it is the church power using the government, the civil power, for its purposes. Now I want to state a little further upon the principle that no Christian, being a citizen of the kingdom of God, can of any right start any procedure in connection with civil government. After it is started by the government itself, that is another question. I repeat, therefore, that upon the principles which govern kingdoms and governments, the very principle of the law in heaven or law in earth, a Christian cannot start any procedure in connection with civil government. And of all Christians, Seventh-day Adventists cannot do it. The very keeping of the Sabbath forbids it.
The special characteristic of the beast, and therefore of his image, is the breaking of God's commandments.
It has been written that the testimony of two men is true. Dear friend, do you have any question in your mind as to what forms the image to the beast?
The kingdom.
My kingdom is not of this world. If my kingdom were of this world, then my servants would be fighting, that I might not be delivered up to the Jews. But as it is, my kingdom is not of this realm.
Jesus never, in any manner, nor to any degree, took any part in political matters, nor in any affairs of the state. Jesus was then, and is forever, the embodiment of true religion. Therefore, in his whole life's conduct of absolute separation from everything political, from all affairs of the state, there is taught to all the world, and especially to all believers in him, the complete separation of the religion of Christ, and of all who hold it, from everything political, and from all affairs of the state.
Not by the decisions of courts or councils or legislative assemblies, not by the patronage of worldly great men, is the kingdom of Christ established.
There is a kingdom now in existence into which only the righteous can enter. They enter it by coming into a personal, saving relationship to Jesus Christ. That kingdom is not of the world. Its government is not exercised by worldly government or states, and in the administration of its affairs no force is used. Its officers strive not for position, nor for authority over others. They are all brethren.
The germ in the seed grows by unfolding of the life principle which God has implanted. Its development depends upon no human power. So it is with the kingdom of Christ. It is a new creation. Its principles of development are the opposite of those that rule the kingdoms of the world. Earthly governments prevail by physical force, but the founder of the new kingdom is the Prince of Peace. In his plan of government there is no employment of brute force to compel the conscience. The Jews looked for the kingdom of God to be established in the same way as the kingdoms of the world. To promote righteousness they resorted to external measures. They devised methods and plans, but Christ implants a principle. There is no place for tradition, for man's theories and conclusions, or for church legislation. No laws ordained by ecclesiastical authority are included in the commission. The law and the prophets, with the record of his own words and deeds, are the treasure committed to the disciples to be given to the world. Nothing that does not bear his superscription is to be recognized in his kingdom. Are you in the kingdom of God, or still supporting the kingdoms of the world? No man can serve two masters. Either make the tree good so the fruit will be good, or make it bad so your true character will be revealed. Warning: the half-hearted Christians are worse than the infidels, for their deceptive words and non-committal position lead many astray. The infidel shows his colors. The lukewarm Christian deceives both parties. He is neither a good worldling nor a good Christian. Satan uses him to do a work no one else can do.
Prophecy represents Protestantism as having lamb-like horns, but speaking like a dragon. Apostate Protestantism has become a wolf or dragon in sheep's clothing, and is now the false prophet. Are you being deceived by the false prophet? Satan has come as an angel of light. Did you see him? Have you seen or heard him? Notice, you must recognize him to avoid him. Please awake. It is time to awake. The bridegroom cometh. The kingdom of heaven is at hand. The kingdom of God is in your midst. The bride must make herself ready.